Right then, another BMW vid, the 125D. So it's not had tons of loving just yet. We've not even managed to get it on the dyno and get any crazy numbers out of it yet, but we'll see. So it's still running on the AO52 tyres and the 2 forged wheels, but now we've got the new tyres for the old wheels, so they're going to get swapped as part of the next bit of the build. Because then when we get to track, we'll swap them over and see what difference it makes. So the tyres that we've got on the old wheels, the standard wheels, are just for wets, and they're a little bit better than the ones that are on the Mini. So the probably comparison to start with is not where we wanted it to be, but anyway, it is what it is. So before we do start going crazy and tuning it, we need to start at this end and start servicing it. So we've got full service kit, all decent quality stuff. Then for some reason we couldn't get a Bosch filter, don't know why, but we've ended up with a Wix one, which should be all right. Good enough outside of a touring car, whether that means they're any good or not, I'm not too sure. Then we've got the Ram Air filter. So we've had a few people saying you never, I've got a Spider-Man plaster on as well. A few people saying, why are you running these filters? These are sort of similar sort of thing to the AM that are dry filters, the oiled ones I don't like, but still I'm sort of on the fence of whether you're better off with one of these or just a standard paper one. So we'll put it out dyno and see, and if it don't really make much difference, we'll probably just put the paper one back in. But no matter what we put on the website, what guides we put, people always ask us for an open cone air filter or a panel filter. So we just work it to custom demand there. Whether it makes any difference or not, it's sometimes in people's heads. So that's a service. The oils that we'll be using, the usual quantum stuff. Because these have got DPS, we have to use the long life, which is low ash and all that stuff. So hopefully that'll hold up. Now, when we go to, if we end up with DPF problems on track, then we'll take them off. We'll go to something that's not a low ash oil, and we'll probably end up with some sort of rock oil 1050, something that'll take the heat a little bit better. But then we've got oil cools and stuff. But anyway, that's later on. So this big ZF box here is the Gearbox Service Kit. So this is straight from ZF in Germany. We should have all these listed on website, so it's an OE part. This is the strainer filter, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of a filter in there. And then the fluid and all new bolts and plugs and stuff. And they're not stupid money. Can't remember how much they are. There's quite a few different ones, but I think in 8 or 10 kits, we can cover pretty much all the Volkswagen and BMW range. So we're going to have them listed on website, available to buy. VW and BMW say it's fill for life and you can't get any of this stuff through the dealer really. You can get the oil, but it's stupid money. And I don't think you can get this, but they say fill for life, which is a load of rubbish. Anything over 60,000, we've seen a difference in how these change gear, especially when you're running them hard. So always a good idea to do it. So this is due, the A6 is due, and the Amarok's due as well. So we're gonna at least be using 3 of these kits in the next few weeks, but whether we film each one, not too sure. See how much footage we get when we're doing this one, but not a big job to do. A little bit of setup afterwards and stuff, but anyway. So gearbox service, engine service. Then we'll get on to the rear diff. So we've got a wave track. So most of our cars have got quaifs in. It's very rarely we end up with a wave track, and that's really because we've had good luck with quaif, and we've had a few people fit the wave tracks, and they're a little bit more expensive, and it's been sort of subjective of whether they're any better or not. So we've got a quaif in the back of our 3 Series race car, track car, it's not really race yet. So we wanted to see the difference really. Obviously a bit of difference, that's a 3 litre, this is a 2 litre, but we're running a similar tyre, we should be able to get a good feel of what's difference in them. So that is that. ARP bolts, motor oil's what they recommend, so we've got that as well. And we've got a rear diff bush. This one's a suspension, but that's like rear diff bush. There's a suspension bush there as well. So Powerflex have done us a good deal on these. So we've got a full rear diff, which is the same part number as ours, because to fit this, you've got to machine the ring gear off the old diff, so if put it in a lathe or in a mill, depending on how we're going to end up doing it, put it in there, machine that out, drill it to the same PCD as this, so we'll be going to that one, and then I'm assuming, looking at that, we're going to have to tap it as well, because this is not threaded, so we have to drill and tap it to that thread, so it's not going to be a quick job, so we didn't want to kill this car and have it dead for a few weeks or a few days, depending on how long it ends up taking us. So we just bought another diff, and then if somebody else ends up with one on that part number and orders one of these from us, we can just do a quick swap, and away you go. So that's that. Got some little toe straps, whether they're any good or not. They look cheap and Chinesey, but it is what it is. Anti-roll bars, and my first thought is, if this is an upgrade, what the bloody hell's on card at the minute, it must be like a little HB2 pencil or whatever, but anyway, we'll fit them and see what happens. Black 125D badge, should be good. And then these are the pressure sensors for inside the wheels. We didn't have any when we put these on, so at the minute the lights are all flashing, it's telling us to stop, and it's rather annoying. So we could probably code that out if we wanted to, but having the actual pressure on the dash on a track car that you use on the road as well is never a bad thing. So saves you coming in unnecessarily and driving home with no pressure in your tyres. So we're going to put them in, hopefully they just work. If they don't, we'll probably try and do a video on what we had to do to make that work. So that should be pretty good. And then onto the even tastier stuff. So these are the KW Club Sports. I'll pick one up front. So these are really nice. Camber adjustable top mounts. And then you've got a two-way adjustable shock. So I didn't even look at these front ones before we started filming. I probably should have done. But we've got the bump on the bottom there. Just 6 nice little turns. Hopefully there's not too much of a gap between them. I like to at least have 10. And then the bump, the rebound, sorry, it'll be done here, rebound. The rebound will be done here. So bump, rebound. So we'll see how that goes. But they've done us a nice deal on these as well. So the Mini's going to be running Bilstein Club Sports. This is running the KWs. It comes with a nice little toolkit that can stamp back at cars, some stickers and stuff in there as well. Nice little adjuster. They always get lost, so that's good. Not quite sure what we need that for. There'll be a use for it somewhere. And then little adjuster there as well. So that should be pretty good. So the next, these anti-roll bars and suspension are not going to be on for the first track day, as is the rear diff. We're not going to do that straight away, so we're probably just going to do the gearbox service, engine service, and fit the brakes that we've already talked about in a previous video, 370mm RS29 pads, and then do a few little bits of swapping over. We have got some adjustable rear arms as well, but we'll not put them in the video. We'll probably just fit them when we get a chance to, because I don't think we're going to do the same on this. We need to measure what it ends up at, what we've got now, and then what we're going to end up at if we start playing at the track. But the rear toe on this is not something I want to be just playing with at the track side. I want to have a better idea what we're doing in the workshop first. Not a bigger deal on a front wheel drive car, you're not going to immediately crash. So yeah, we're going to whack all this out as quick as we can. This will probably be its own separate video, as will be the suspension and the bushes and stuff like that. So yeah, see how Paul gets on, and hopefully we're ready for the first track day in a week or so. So finally got around to getting the BMW on the ramp. So Paul's going to be doing the rear, which he's already sort of fairly on with that side. Well, I don't know if we're putting that footage in before or after, but I've let him do the rears because they've got horrible handbrake drums on them, which can be a bit of a pain in the arse, so let Paul deal with that. So I'm going to try and get onto the fronts. On this, the Mini we did it a bit different, but on this we're just going to put the RSL 29 pads straight in. These are not used already, so we'd have to bed them in a bit before we go to the track day, whereas the Mini we can do the quick test while we're at the track. braided hoses, and we'll do the engine service and everything after that's done. So keep an eye out for what we're doing. So, finally got this side just about sorted. Pads went in fairly easy. I think it was playing tricks on me. Every time I pushed one piston back, another one popped out, so I had to just crack blade nipple off. Cleaned the hub up really well and put a bit of Never Seas on there. Not gone mad and put it all over the face, just on the bit where the disc sticks on, so they take a bit of brain off sometimes with it being aluminium. Loctited the studs in. Put the pad wear sensor in, I don't know if you can see that from here. That just pulls out. It's not worn out, so we didn't bother putting a new one in. The pad's fitted nice and freely in there, so I didn't bother cleaning up too much there. The brake hose, the fitting's not quite as tight as I'd want it to be on this little clip here, so I'll just put a tie wrap around there. Pad wear sensor's all back in, all clipped up. We did have a bit of fun with this brake hose, so this is the last job I've got to fix, but basically the union is completely seized onto the pipe, so we've had to wind it on, which on the way off, which I'll show you on this, on the way off were a bit more difficult because this is fixed and this is, it goes into there and it sort of locates on these little pins. So the only way to get that out was to rip this clip to bits, pull it down and then wind it off. But these new hoses are pretty good because that's actually, I didn't realise until I'd sort of started lifting it up, but that actually rotates on this pipe here, so worked out pretty good. It would just wind it on, and away we go. So these are nice quality fittings. So brake cleaned all the disc. I might get another quick do once we've bled them. Yeah, we're just going to bleed them with standard .4 fluid at the minute because we can put it on the, we call it R2D2. Danny will get a picture of it, however, when we're doing it, but it's just like a little pressure bleeder. We'll just push it out with that, and that'll get all the air out, and then we'll just gravity bleed some RBF 616 when we've done a few track days or when we've decided that it's causing us problems. So yeah, one side pretty much done. I'll get this clip back in onto the next side. finally got the little bits and bats done on the BMW. So I did the front brakes. Someone needs to shift that. I did the front brakes with RS29 pads. They went on absolutely perfect. No messing about, straight on there. Really nice light caliper and everything. Just easy to do. The brake hoses needed a little bit of a tie wrap to stop them just slipping through, so not quite as tight as they probably could be, but it is what it is, it's not too dangerous. So that's sorted, and the pad wear sensors clip into them as well, so even though they're like a sort of track pad, they work pretty good. So then after that, Paul did the full service. We dropped the oils, and then Paul did the full service, so air filter, oil filter, fuel filter, pollen filter, and quantum long life oil. So still got the DPF, so we've got to put that in. That was pretty straightforward. I think we've put the ProRam air filter in this now, but we're going to do a bit of back-to-back on the dyno, so we'll leave that in for now, and then we'll swap it when we get it on the dyno. And then Paul did the gearbox service with a ZF service kit. He said it was a little bit of a pain. It's probably, if we're booking people in for that, at least 3 hours worth of work by the time you've got it up to temperature, because you can't run it to get it up to temp to start with, and then you're going to get it through gears and do loads of cycling and back and forth. But then it takes a little bit more oil afterwards. You can't just dump it all in and then drain it out. You've just got to put it in until it doesn't take any more. So that worked out pretty good. Not sure if it's made any difference to how it drives, because we've literally not even drove it yet. So Paul's going to go out, make sure everything's right, make sure the tyre pressures are all set and everything, monitoring system's all set up and everything. And then we can go. The other job he did was the swirl flap delete, which that normally is here. And you can just see, I don't know if it's bright enough, I'll get my torch, get my phone, where's my torch? See, it's on already. You can just see header a bolt there, we blank it off there. So the piece that we blank off, so that's what bolts up there, that's got a little actuator and a little lever, and that actuates this, so that's what we're fixing up. But we, these are the swirl flaps, all caked in crap. But one of these had already fell in, it had broken up and disappeared, so there was one of these missing. So the engine's probably swallowed it at some point. It's only a bit of plastic, or a little bit of plastic, hopefully not causing any damage. But we've not yet got it onto the dyno and seen what power we can get out of it. I think we just run it standard and it did like 210 or something like that, which is a bit down. But we wanted to get it on and tune it proper before we did a video on that one. So we might be making it to the track, knowing what it is. I'm not too sure yet, but we'll see. We want it to be right rather than bending all the maps and just making it make more power. We want to calibrate everything so everything works properly. So swirl flaps definitely need to be done on these. We've done the Mini and the BMW, they're both the same. Whether this is useful to anybody or not, I'm not too sure. But yeah, we're pretty much ready to go now. We're going to get the vans loaded. We're ready for a track day.